a little bit about myself first, and I'm not going to talk long about myself. You can Google me, but just so you know, I'm sort of a startup junkie. So I'm working on 3 right now. So, you know, I relate, and I've been working on startups since 1996. I'm also sort of a digital junkie. I've been on the web, and I've been a customer of Amazon since 1996, actually, the first day they opened. And I've been doing digital, you know, since about that same time. Actually, earlier than that, I did programs for customers on CompuServe in the early 1900s. So, whatever. So much about me. I wrote a book, which is still a pretty good book, but we'll talk about some of that, I think. So what we talk about is, first of all, you know, let's set a baseline. What is digital marketing? Next, we'll talk about the 5 myths that I think people have when they think about digital marketing, right? Then we talk about the 3 requirements. What do you absolutely have to have in place in order to succeed with digital marketing? And then we'll take a dive deeper into some of the elements, you know, email, SMS, website, SEO, pay-per-click, you know, all the content marketing, all those things, we'll talk about it. And like Luis said, obviously we're not going to be able to get into a lot of details on that, but the good news is there's a lot of good stuff out there in Google. Then we'll talk a little bit about a few case studies, and we'll summarize, and we'll go to your questions. If you have a question that you think you're not going to remember until the end, feel free to interrupt me, okay? So first of all, what is digital marketing? And that's the only slide I'm going to read. It comes from HubSpot. By the way, if you don't know HubSpot, you're in business, you want to do digital, you should go to that site. A, read their stuff. It's great content. And B, they have a customer relationship management software solution that is absolutely awesome, that is free. Okay, and it totally integrates with your Gmail. So whenever you send email to customers or to prospects or whatever, it's just automatically going to record them. You will see the whole history, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not a shareholder or anything like that. You know, it's just a free advertising for them. So digital marketing, they say, encompasses all marketing efforts that use an electronic device or the internet. So it's basically everything you do on your phone, everything you do on your computer, everything you do over the internet. Businesses leverage digital channels such as search engines, social media, email, and their website to connect with current and future customers. So it's everything you do, okay, basically these days in terms of marketing, okay? Just so last week, I think, I heard for the first time that digital marketing has finally overtaken analog marketing in terms of dollars spent, okay? Which is a good news and also bad news, but we'll talk about that. The first myth of digital marketing is a lot of people say, digital marketing is great because you can measure everything instantaneously and you can compare, you can do A/B comparisons, right? That's wrong. It's not because it's true, but it's also wrong. It's not because you can measure something that you should measure it, okay? So for example, if your name is Prestige Cleaning Services or something, right? And you get a very high bounce rate, so people that come to your site and leave without clicking on anything else. On Google, for prestige, for the term prestige, that's not a bad thing. It's just that, you know, they're not looking for prestige cleaning services. They may be looking for prestige properties or prestige, you know, jewelry or something like that. Also, there are things that you can't measure that you should try to measure, okay? Or that, I shouldn't say you can't measure, but it's really hard to measure. So for example, having a lot of reviews, Google likes that. Google always thinks, it's very simple to understand Google, right? Google always thinks, if I'm sending that person over there, are they going to have a good experience? That's basically what Google thinks, right? So if you have a lot of reviews, good reviews, Google will say, huh, sounds like a good business. She has 5 reviews, she only has 1. I'm going to send them there first. So reviews are going to impact your SEO, your search engine optimization, which is going to impact your visibility on the web, which is going to impact a whole bunch of other things. But it's really hard to measure that, you know? Or the other thing, and I'll talk about that a little bit further later on, is how do you measure what you're doing on the impact of a customer lifetime value, right? How many times will they come back to buy from you? A customer that is acquired through word of mouth is going to have twice the lifetime value of a customer that is acquired through traditional marketing, and is going to bring you back twice the amount of customers through word of mouth than the one that was acquired through traditional marketing, right? You can't measure that. You wouldn't be able to measure that. You have to be like, Stanford University or MIT or whatever and have the huge budgets to do those research to find that out. So myth number 2, I don't know if digital marketing is good for me, but I can always test it as a separate effort on the side. Wrong, okay? Your digital marketing needs to be integrated with everything else that you do in marketing, and your marketing needs to be integrated with the fabric of your organization, no matter how big you are, okay? Everybody has to talk the same talk. Everybody has to try to provide the same experience to a customer. You have to understand the customer buying cycle. What does a customer do before they buy? And you need to reach them, through different channels depending on where they are in their buying cycle. And we'll talk about that some more too. Myth number 3 is, we're going to build a beautiful website, and that's it. That's going to be the end of a digital marketing strategy, right? Well, building a beautiful website and not doing anything else is like building a shop in the desert. Nobody will find you, nobody will come. And I swear to God, there is a ton of sites out there that look great, and they get like 1 person a day or 2 people a day. It's a shame. Why do you even have a website? Okay? Anyway, we'll talk more about that too. But the other thing you have to think about it is, so you build a website, then you have to do efforts to drive traffic to that website. And again, some companies do that well, but then they fail on step 3. Once you have the traffic, how do you capture them? How do you engage with them? In some websites, you look at them, they get good traffic. There's no call to action. You're not asking your customers to do anything. That's wrong. Myth number 4. My competitors are not doing any digital marketing, so why should I? Well, the answer is very simple. It's because your competitor doesn't do it. You should do it, right? In local digital marketing, right? Local SEO, local, being findable on a local basis, right? So when I use my phone, I'm looking for a restaurant near me or something like that, right? It's a numbers game, right? If there are 10 plumbers in your area, let's say 5 of them will have crappy websites. So you have 5. Of those 5, I bet you no more than 3 will be investing in SEO, and the other 2 will not know what it even means, right? So you only have to beat 1 to be in the top 3. It's a numbers game, okay? That's why if they don't do it, you should do it, okay? Have you seen the 3-pack on Google? So when you search restaurant in the area or something like that, there's a 3-pack that shows up. Actually, for restaurants, it's called a snack pack. For hotels, it's called a teasing pack or something. There's 4 of them. How many more calls do you think the number 1 in that 3-pack gets compared to somebody on page 2? Okay. Number 5, digital marketing is all about technology and tools. How many times do I hear that? It drives me nuts, right? It's like we're marketers. We're the cool hunters, right? I mean, we always want to have the latest fad, the latest thing. We've read this article. Oh, that's going to solve all my problems, right? So how many times have I heard customers that have an e-commerce site, for example, and they come to me and they say, my e-commerce site doesn't work. We're on WooCommerce. I think we should go to BigCommerce or to Shopify or something, or vice versa. It's like, if it doesn't work, it's probably not to do with WooCommerce. It probably has to do with something else. Or, we don't get enough traffic to my site. I want to get off Wix and I want to go to WordPress, or vice versa. It's like, well, if you don't get traffic, it's probably not a problem, okay? So using technology to try to fix your issues is not going to fix your issues. Okay, so first requirement to succeed in digital marketing is to understand that the traditional funnel, you've seen a funnel in marketing, right? People that are moving from like being aware of you to sort of selecting you and some others and then testing you and then buying you. The traditional funnel, that's not how people buy products nor services, okay? The real way that they buy products and services is like this messy, squishy, thing on the bottom, which is a chart that comes from McKinsey, which is, yeah, I'm going to buy this product. Yeah, I'm going to ask some friends. I'm going to go on Facebook. I'm going to ask for a recommendation. I'm going to go on LinkedIn. I'm a member of those groups where I hang out with people just like me. I'm going to ask them. And then just when you're about to make a purchase, somebody else comes with an idea, and you're going to take that too in your selection, right? So, and then you're going to continue, after you bought the product, you're going to continue thinking about that product and whether to buy it again or not. So all your post-purchase experiences, customer service, the packaging if you sell a product, whatever, is so important. It's as important as everything that comes before it. Your call center if you have one. So second requirement for digital marketing, for understanding marketing in general, but certainly digital marketing, is that, do you know that evolutionary biologists all agree that there is no discernible evolution in a human being in a 20,000-year period? So we're still acting and reacting to things the same way that we used to 20,000 years ago, okay? And I know the marketers are the cool hunters, right? They will go after the latest fad. But it's, the latest fad only determines 10% of how a person behaves. The 90% is determined by very ancient human traits, right? One of them is reciprocity, for example, right? I am going to help you because I know at some point in time you're going to help me back when I need it. That's hardwired. That's not something we learn in school. That is totally hardwired. That's an instinct. Okay? That's why you see people helping others in online communities for like 40 hours a week, even though they don't work for the company. That's people helping people. Now, the flip side of that is that, if I have somebody that is in my community and they're sort of taking advantage of that without giving back, that could destroy my community. So we have an innate sense of fairness, which means that if we think somebody did something unfair to us, we're going to spend efforts and money to hurt them. That's just another innate thing. You know where you see that? If you don't treat a customer well, I bet you have an 80 to 90% chance of getting a negative review. If you treat somebody good, well, you only have a 20% chance that you're going to get a review. And that's because of another human behavioral thing, which is humans are likely to spend twice as much to get rid of a pain than they are to get a nice to have. And so a review for a good service is a nice to have. A review for a negative thing, I'm going to get you, So another thing is that you have to understand, especially when you work with incentives, is we have two ways of evaluating things. We have two frameworks. We have a market framework, which is I come to work for you and we're going to negotiate a contract and we're going to negotiate where the IP will reside and, and how much you're going to pay me and all of that. And that's cold, that's calculated, right? And then there is a social framework in which we evaluate certain things, which is, you're my neighbor, your back hurts, you're calling me, you said, I have to move all my furniture because they're coming and redo my hardwood floor, can you come and help me? Of course I'm going to come and help you, And I'm not going to expect you to come and help me move my furniture in return right away, right? So that's the social framework. It feels warm and fuzzy, okay? With your customers, especially if your customers are passionate, right? Try to see if you can tap in that social framework, which is and we talk about that, but which is other than monetary rewards if you try to do rewards for them. Another thing that we do is humans are tribal, and we are still tribal, okay? Most of us in this earth are not born in tribes like we used to. We choose our tribes, okay? We are in the Star Trek tribe for a few years, then we get out of it, and we get into, you know, I don't know, the outdoor adventure tribe or, you know, whatever. But it's important to know that. And by the way, within those tribes, most people look alike, okay? But it's, you know what's important to know that? Let's say that your target market, in a classical sense, is retirees, right? You're not going to succeed with retirees, just as a demographic. Because in the retirees, you have a whole bunch of different people. You have people that like to teach. You have retirees that like to game, that are gamers with their grandkids. You still have retirees that are adventure travelers. You talk differently to those people than you do to a retiree who is in a, you know, in a retirement home, okay? So you have to think tribe, because they have their own language, they have their own culture, you know, that's how you have to think about your market segments. And then the last one that is sort of important to know, and none of you will admit to that, but we are herding species. And what that means, it's good news actually. It's really good news. So if you do research for a restaurant, you go to Burlington or to a place you've never been, and you go to that restaurant, and there is a restaurant on the other side of the street where there's a line. Most of you will go talk to some people in that line and go stand in that line. Because we're lazy. We don't like to make decisions. We like to take other people's decisions for our own, okay? Now, take that a step further. We're self-herding, which means if I buy a certain jam for no good reason, right? I buy that jam and that jam is okay. I'm likely to keep buying that jam over and over and over and over again until something goes wrong. It gets too expensive, I had one that didn't taste the same way. So we have 100% loyalty built in as humans, okay? You have to know that. You just don't screw up after you sold something to someone. You keep taking care of them, right? So those are some of the things. Third requirement to be successful, and I've already touched on that, is use common sense, okay? Like I said, if you don't know what Google is going to do with something that you plan on doing, just think about it. Would Google like that in terms of providing a pleasurable experience to that person that they're going to send somewhere, right? So an example of that is, I had a client who came to us and said, look, we want to have a pop-up to sign up for our newsletter right after people get to our site. And I'm like, I don't think so. You know, I don't think that's a good idea. I mean, that's like a sales guy walking up to you with a contract and have you sign it before describing what the product is, you know? You don't do that. But they did it anyway. So their Google traffic went down. And then in January, I didn't know that, but in January I read an article that Google actually started penalizing people that have a pop-up. They actually don't show them anymore on phones. So you don't show up on phones anymore if you have a pop-up right from the beginning. Do an exit intent pop-up. That's great. That's when people are about to leave your site and you say, hey, wait, don't go yet. I'll give you 10%. That works great. And Google doesn't penalize you for that. But not one in your face. You know, the other thing is, I go to people's social channels and the only thing they do is talk about themselves. Oh, we have a sale today. Oh, we have a new person that joined us. I mean, seriously? If you go to a party and there's somebody that you don't know that walks up to you and starts talking only about themselves, their kids, and never asks you anything in return, what are you going to do? You're going to walk away from that person, right? And you know why? Because everything we do as humans is reciprocal, even conversations, right? So I'm either going to tell you a joke and you're going to laugh. So I told you a joke that made you laugh. By laughing, you rewarded me for being a good joke teller. Or we're going to have a conversation whereby I tell you something that makes you go, yeah. And then, you know, it goes up like that. And so you build up. But it's reciprocal. Same thing when you talk over social channels or over email. Try to make it a bi-directional, conversation. Now, mistakes do happen. Okay? you're going to screw up, or your employees are going to screw up, or your product is going to fail, or your service is not going to be right one day, right? Just don't hide behind gobbledygook and corporate speak to defend yourself. Just apologize. People understand it. They're not going to penalize you. But if you try to, sort of protect yourself and all of that, that's where the negative review comes from. Focus on value. Everything you do. Am I delivering value? I'm sending you an email. Am I delivering value to you? Everything you do, put that through that filter. Would I send it to my mother? It's another good filter, Seriously, a lot of stuff that gets sent out there, you wouldn't send emails like that to your parents or to your brothers or to your friends, just put it through that simple filter. And then the last one is don't be afraid of showing emotion and showing passion. That's what we're all about, okay? So building a web presence. Like I said before, a lot of people will build beautiful web presence, but, who cares? Like, look at the top ones. 2 real estate websites for real estate companies in Killington. The first one is a beautiful photo of the gondola, The second one is a beautiful photo of the mountains. You can quite see it, but through the lens of real estate, which is what they are. They're not a travel agency. They're not a marketing agency for Killington, The second thing, you can't see it here the way that it's structured, but the second one also has above the fold, so on the first page, without having to go scroll, has our story. So it has text. So it tells you something. The first one doesn't, just a photo. I mean, it's beautiful, but you know what? I'm here to look for something. I'm not here to look at beautiful photos. If I do that, I'll go to, Adobe site or something like that, or one of the photo sites, right? So, and now comes the kicker. If you have no text above the fold, Google will not penalize you because it's not a great experience, So the second thing is, a lot of sites don't have any information about the people in the company, right? I mean, seriously, when I come to a website, I just want to have the same feeling that when I walk into a storefront or when I'm talking to the owner of a small business. I want to get a sense for who those people are, right? I want to see if there's good chemistry. Same thing on a website. I'm looking for some personality there. I'm looking for, ton of websites don't have anything about, about the people. What's their story? Why are they in your business? Everybody has a story. And people like to hear stories, okay? So, and your company has a story. Tell that story, right? Because, there's a lot of sites that are like, data intensive. It's all the listings for a real estate company, or it's all the specs for, car parts or something like that. Sure, you have to have that, but that doesn't make your site personable. That doesn't make your site human. That doesn't allow me to have an emotional connection with you through your site. And that's what a lot of people don't think about. And then the other thing is, a lot of sites have like, we are the best voodoo marketing agencies with a twist of, foo-foo juice. I mean, it's like corporate speak that makes no sense. That's not how you would talk to your mother or to your family or friends. Same thing here. Show some emotion. Show some, like, we love Killington and surrounding areas. Tell them, show them emotions. Building a website without doing search engine optimization is, like I said before, it's like building a website. It's like building a shop in the desert, right? And there are many, many parts of SEO, okay? The first one is technical SEO, right? Which is, those are things like, are you caching your your pages so that they deliver faster? Have you optimized your images in terms of size so it doesn't take 20 seconds to load a web page on, on a phone or something like that? And that's really important, right? They're all important, but that's really important, right? Because if your site loads, if your images are too big and your site takes 20 seconds to load, guess what Google is going to do? They're going to look and say, I can send them here or I can send them there. These guys load in 3 seconds, these guys load in 20 seconds. Where do you think they're going to send them? They're going to send them to the 3 seconds, right? So Google says we like sites that are less than 3 seconds, but if you have 7 or 8, I'd be fine with that, but not 20, not 12, and yet there are a lot of them that have that. The second important thing in SEO is backlinks, right? So who is linking back to you, right? Google looks at that and decides, well, if you have like a ton of really great site, the State of Vermont website, right, that has a credibility of 80% or something, linking back to your site, Google is like, these guys have good content, right? And they're going to increase your, different companies call it different things, but basically domain authority. And if you have a higher domain authority, they're going to send people to you more often than not. The next one is local SEO, right, which is 2 things. Local SEO is I'm looking for something near me, right, a restaurant or whatever, right? Or if you have a hotel or if you have a restaurant and you're a destination, like lots of places in Vermont, it's also if people from out of state are looking for, show me budget motels in, in Essex County or something like that, right? So local SEO works works if you're a local business, whether it's for locals or for outsiders, all right? And there's 2 things. Local SEO to optimize. One is to be the number 1 in organic search, right, which is the first listing after the advertising. And the second one is to be the number 1 in the 3-pack, okay? And those are 2 different things. You actually have to do 2 different things in order to optimize those 2. One of the most important things that you can think of for local SEO is your Google business listing. Have you heard of the Google business listing? How many people have heard of the Google business listing? How many people have a Google business listing? How many people have claimed their business listing? A lot of companies don't claim their business listing. It's free, guys. It's totally free from Google, okay? You have to claim it and you have to optimize it, all right? And it is the most important thing that Google looks at when they're driving traffic to you locally. And it's a place where you can ask customers to leave you reviews, okay? It's a great thing. It's a great free tool. You have to go claim it. It's free. Because if you don't claim it, you know what? Somebody else, your competitor could go and claim it and put their phone number on it, okay? So it's been known that they hijack Google SEO.
Can you combat that if they do that?
Yes, you go to Google and you say, no, that's mine. And you have multiple ways of proving it to them. But if a lot of people don't even know it's there. And then the other thing is a lot of people, they don't know they have multiple, which is not a good thing either. So you might have a real estate company and the company has one, and then you might be a real estate agent working for that company and your real estate agent has one. That's not good either. Yeah?
So I'm on Google Business, but because we have an office here and in New York, should we just have one Google Business
No.
or 2?
You can have 2. You can have multiple locations. Yeah, you should have 1 per location.
Okay.
Yeah, and you should have on your homepage a page for each location that you optimize locally as well. Okay, a lot of people that have multiple locations, they have one website, and they have like location links and directions, but not a dedicated page. You want to have a dedicated page. Okay? So that's local SEO. And then you have keyword optimization, which is what do you want people, what do you want people that search for to come to your site as a result of that? And do you have the right content for it, right? Now, that's also tedious. It's also a lot of work, also a lot of trying and error and stuff like that. But together, that's sort of, the SEO. And then when you think that you have it all figured out, right, you realize that voice is coming, right? Now, the difference with voice is that when you do a voice query, you use a lot more words than when you do it on a computer or on your phone. So you've got to optimize for something totally different when it's voice. Now, listen to this. In 2018, 20% of all mobile search were voice. It's expected to be 50% by 2020. So half of the searches are going to be voice. As of December of last year, there were 100 Alexa that had been sold. 76% of smart speakers use their speaker to do searches for local businesses once a week. 53% of them do it every day. Okay? So just when you think you've done it for your website, then comes voice and you've got to deal with this. 46% of all voice searches look for local businesses every day. Okay, that's across all platforms. So, but the power of local SEO is powerful. Listen to this stat. 50% of consumers who conducted a local search on a smartphone visited the store within 1 day. Okay? 98% of people that do searches on Google never go to page 2. 33% of all the click-throughs happen on the first listing. So make the calculations yourself. What is it worth for you in terms of business calls? We work with a spa. I'll tell you a little bit more about it in one of the case studies. They hadn't claimed their business listing, right? This month, they got 300 calls from the business listing. Those are calls that they didn't get. That's a lot of calls. If you call a spa, you're likely, I have to find out, but I think you're likely to make a booking, So, it's pay-per-click advertising. I have a mixed relationship with that one. And the reason is it's becoming very, very expensive. Like I said, 50% of all digital is now online, and guess who the two monsters are to take all the business is Google and Facebook. Okay? So you're competing with companies that have big budgets in PPC and that are going to optimize, and they have multiple people working on that full time. So that's who you're competing with, So it's becoming really, really hard to compete with small budgets. That being said, there are 2.2 billion Facebook users that go to Facebook every single day. You don't want to ignore them, and you know that your reach through your Google your Facebook page has gone down dramatically, right? In January of last year, they did a new algorithm, and between January and June of last year, the reach that businesses had through their business page on Facebook went down by 37%. Okay? So what do you do? The other thing is I did a test myself not too long ago. I thought that was fun. So I did a test, small test, Facebook. And I basically wanted to have people to like my page, a real estate page. And I selected my audience. I don't know what I'm doing, I think, but whatever. I selected my audience. Nothing but real estate, right? Your job is real estate, your interest is real estate, your company is real estate. There's nothing else but real estate in there. I got all teachers. So go figure, The thing is, think about where do you want to invest your money? Do you want to invest it in PPC or do you want to invest it in SEO? Okay? And I have a stat for you on that one as well. So the paid close rate, right? So these are people that are doing something based on clicking on a paid ad, okay, is 1.7%. All right? So people that click on your paid ad will do what you want them to do 1.7% of the time. On organic clicks, it's 14.6%. Okay, so it's almost 6 times as much. So, you know, I still play with both, but I think when you make a decision, those are some of the things you have to keep in mind. Is it's increasingly hard to compete with small budgets. It's increasingly hard as a small business because you're competing with people that have full staffs doing it. And you might be better off doing the SEO, especially if you're a local company. Like I said, it's a numbers game. Remember the 10 plumbers? You know, it's much easier to get in the rankings. All right. Next is content marketing and inbound marketing. And the premise there is simple. You want to have content that deliver value. And by doing that, what you want to do, the whole premise is that you want to attract customers as opposed to interrupting them with information that comes from you. So you write content that is really, really valuable, okay? And that content is going to be more shareable, right? If you like it and you know a friend that has the same issue, you're going to share it with them. And so the likelihood that that person will post it on their blog is high if it's more shareable. If it's posted on somebody's blog, it's a backlink to you. It's good for SEO, okay? The second reason is it's findable because Google actually likes long-form content, which is sort of another thing that you have to sort of balance, right? Google prefers articles of 600 and more words, but you don't want to have your front page of your website have 600 words, you know? So those pieces of content allow you to do that for other pages. And by the way, that's another thing that people don't do enough, is they optimize their website all for the front page. None of the other pages are optimized for. That's not good. You know why it's not good? One of the biggest reasons why it's not good is because you're competing with yourself. You're trying to optimize a page for 3 or 4 different phrases. You're competing with yourself. Pick a phrase, do page 2. Pick another phrase, do page 3. Pick another phrase, you know, or keyword, that's usually going to be a key phrase, you know, and do a blog post, or do an FAQ, or write a piece of content for it if it's a really important thing, okay? But don't all optimize the home page. Here are a number of stats again. 82% of smartphone users consult their phone before making an in-store purchase. What content do you think they're interested in? That content. They're not interested in your ad. They're not going to click on your ad. See? I mean, your ad will drive traffic. But if somebody really wants to buy, they will not click on the ads. They will click on the organic. Okay? And then here's another one. 78% of all US internet users research online before buying in general. That's the content they want. Okay? So then next, I'm not going to talk too much about this one because because it's obvious, I guess. Email and SMS marketing, right? So if you do not do email marketing, you're losing out, okay? It's the oldest digital marketing technique, but it sure still does work, okay? Average open rate on emails is 20%. I've seen rates go as high as 80%. Okay, on open rates, if you do it properly, if you deliver what you promise you're going to deliver through email, okay? So you got to do it. You got to collect emails, and you got to use emails to send stuff of value. It allows you to stay in the flow with your potential customers and prospects. The second one is the newest one, is SMS marketing. Okay, so SMS open rates today is 98%, right? Now, you can't send a newsletter through SMS. That doesn't work, or you shouldn't do that, okay? But there are other things that you can do with SMS that will make for a nice experience, okay? For example, confirming an order via SMS. Oh, great, I just got an SMS that they accepted my order and they shipped it, you know? Or asking for a review. One of the best way to get a review is send people an SMS with the link to where they can leave a review. Okay? Special offers, of course. We have 20% off this weekend. And then appointment reminders. okay? So your car appointment is tomorrow at 3 o'clock. We just want to make sure you didn't forget. When you get one of those, you're like, yeah, they do that good, you know? It feels good. I mean, for me it does, but I'm a junkie. I'm a sort of a geek for that stuff, but... And then, you know, now you have companies like Twilio, which is probably the leader in SMS marketing, that just bought SendGrid, which is one of the top guys in email marketing. Okay, so they see the merging of the two. Social media marketing. All right, I'm missing the biggest one here. Which one? YouTube. Google is dead. They're closing down Google Plus this year. So you shouldn't invest in that. YouTube is the biggest one, actually, and I don't have it up there. So I apologize for that. But social media marketing, again, when you talk in social media, don't just talk about yourself, okay? Social media marketing is a bit of a pain because you know, companies like Facebook are really throttling down how you can engage with your customers, right? So if that's the case with you, you know what you should try? Try Twitter. I have tried Twitter now for photo businesses where you would think, you know, that's Instagram. You know, I've used it for real estate. I've used it for tour businesses. You know, and it works. Okay, you get a lot of engagement in Twitter, and you can grow your audience relatively fast. The other thing is, think about your tribe. So I was just talking to a woman. She has a wedding planning business, right? And the person she was working with built out her Facebook page like it's unbelievable and spent unbelievable amount of money on Facebook. And I'm like, are brides on Facebook? They're not. Okay? If you do research, that age group is right now not on Facebook. They're on Instagram, they're on Pinterest, and they're on Twitter. You know, and they're on Snapchat, especially the ladies. Okay? So, you know where they hang out. Don't just go for Facebook because everybody else is doing it. And if you can get Facebook, you know, try something else. Reviews, referrals, and affiliates. I've already said the customer acquired through word of mouth is worth twice. The lifetime value is one that is acquired through traditional marketing. You know, we'll bring in twice the number of new customers because of their buzzing. So that's golden, having reviews, okay? But like I said, reviews is a nice to have if you delivered a good service. So you've got to hustle to get reviews. You've got to ask people, okay? Do you have incentives? Is it good to have incentives? Sometimes, monetary incentives will turn somebody off, okay? So, you have to think this through. SMS is a great way of getting reviews. Can I get your cell phone? I'll send you a link. Or I have seen now somebody that does, so it's a seasonal business, right? So customers don't always come back. So what they're saying is I'll send, when they're checking out and paying, I'll send you an SMS with our review. If you could just write a little review right now on your phone, I'll get you 10% off your bill. And it works. So, but you've got to work it. You totally have to work it, okay? And the same is true with references. Now here are some more stats. 90% of consumers read reviews before visiting a business. 90%, okay? 88% trust online reviews as much as personal recommendations. 31 people that have excellent reviews, 4 and above, customers are likely to spend 31% more on that business than they are on people that have bad reviews. Okay, 92% will use a local business with at least 4 stars. And then listen to this, for those of you that thought that Yelp was that. This is recent research from Cornell, by the way. 5 to 9%, so people that see 1-star increase on Yelp see a 5 to 9% increase in revenue. People that get 1 negative review on Yelp lose on average 30 customers. Okay? So it's important. The other thing that is important is to have multiple reviews. Because if you have 10 reviews and you get a 1 star, that's okay. If you have your 1 review and you get 1 star, all of a sudden you go down to 2.5 reviews, 2.5 stars on average. And Google doesn't like that. They're not going to send people your way anymore, okay? So the other thing is referrals. You know, asking people to refer somebody, that's your word of mouth, right? That's pure money. That's pure money, okay? And then the other thing is affiliates, which is having other people sell your services, right? Which is a pure monetary transaction. There's a difference between referral marketing, where you give an incentive for a referral, and affiliate marketing, where it's a pure monetary transaction. Somebody else puts your services or your products up on their website and you give them a commission, okay? It's nice because it's cheap to set up an affiliate program, okay? The con is it's a lot of work, okay? Because you got to interview the people that you're going to work with. You got to make sure that, you know, there's a values fit between you and their business and all of that. And then if you want to take advantage of the SEO benefits of an affiliate program, right? So an affiliate, you would hope, would put up information about your product on their website and link back to you, right? Well, yes and no. Google does not like and does not count links that are based on a monetary transaction, okay? So if you do that, you actually have to either make sure that the link is they call it a no follows link. So Google goes there, it sees the link, but it says don't count it. So it doesn't transfer domain authority to your site. Google is fine with that. Or there's another way to do it, which Google will recognize as an editorial link. But that's a little bit more tricky. You have to set up a page, a separate page for each affiliate. Okay, and they link to that page. The problem with that is Google hates duplicate content. Okay, so all your pages are going to be the same. You're not going to do so, but there's a way of getting around that with, you know, special URLs and stuff like that. But you have to be very careful how you do it, because if you don't do it right, Google will penalize you. And all of a sudden, you know, you're doing well. Wow, look at that, my affiliate program is going up. Boom, you know, you have no more traffic coming from anybody, because Google just caught you. Next one is not really digital, but it's near and dear to my heart, is cause marketing. If you can, do something good. Do it, okay? Because it's going to give you, you know, goodwill in the community. It's going to make you feel better of doing something for an underrepresented group of the population. And it's going to give you SEO benefits, okay? So I did 2 of them at some point that worked really well. I had a business that was in the photo rental business. And so people that rent photo equipment, you know, they're artists, right? They feel like they're being screwed every time they have to deal with a vendor, and they're not in it for the money, because of course they know most of them are not making any money, right? So I didn't want to just be another vendor, you know, that they didn't like and have no loyalty to. I wanted to be one of them. But I can't just say that, right? So what I did is I created two websites. One was A Beautiful Transition, which was shining a light on the trans people, not LGBT, the trans people, and through documentary filmmaking and artistic photography. And the other one was A Shell of a Life, which was shining a light on deep poverty among veterans with the same means. And then what I was doing is I was enlisting the help of my customers to shoot and interview, go in the street, interview some homeless, you know, veteran and send it to us, and we'll put the little story up. You know, do the same with trans people, do some photography, and we'll put it up. And the Beautiful Transition actually got taken over by a trans woman, who is in the process right now of setting it up as a nonprofit. So that feels really good. The other thing that it helps with, by the way, having do-good programs like that, is if you, at some point, I hope you're going to grow and you're going to recruit people. If you want to recruit millennials, they like that. Okay, that's a big advantage. I don't have the numbers with me, but I have them. Okay, so I'm going to go quickly through the case studies because I want to do some Q&A before course 6. So Spot the Woods website. They had a crappy website. We built a beautiful website. We made them somewhat visible on the website. We increased their growth month over month, right? So January 2018, January 2019, by a factor 6 within the first month, okay? What we did, one of the things that we did there that I think was really clever is they were not ready to go full e-commerce, right? So they were not ready to go have people book online, right? They just, logistically, they couldn't make it work, right? So what I convinced them to do is I said, okay, let's do this then. Let's have, because people want to be able to do a transaction all the way through if they can without having to talk to a human. That's what they like, you know? So I said, let's do at least that. Let's do at least a booking form where they request a booking for a certain hour and you'll get back to them within 2 hours, okay? And that's what threw them, you know, blew them through the roof, okay? Case study number 2, I like this. Real estate agency, they had a crappy website. You couldn't find it anywhere. And we created a website that was human, that told their story. And they had amazing stories, right? Like one of the stories that I like was they had a house, I think it was Morrisville or something like that, that they got to list. And the house was beautiful, but it was on a very busy street, like Main Street or something. And so they brainstormed. They finally marketed the house as the mullet house, okay? Business in the front, party in the back. They got people that came to watch this house because they wanted to know what a mullet house was. You know, that's a great story. You know, tell your stories. And this story is getting so many likes and, you know, so make it human, okay? And then the last one is a protein, a prenatal protein powder, and mommy.com. And we redid the website. They scored really well on SEO, and then they went through a reformulation of their product, and they stopped giving any attention to the website. Well, guess what? 6 months later, none of the search terms were within the first 6 pages in Google. None, okay? They were all 51 and higher. So, I mean, they were still scoring on mommy, prenatal protein powder. So with the brand, they were still scoring, but not without. And people that are not knowing the brand, you know, they're not going to look for that. So we helped them develop an affiliate program, which they implemented and is up and running right now. We did more SEO for them. And they now have 3 terms again. Within a month and a half, they have 3 terms that are back on the first page of Google. So I'd say, whatever you do, give yourself, you know, 3 months to see a difference. But know that you can make a difference within a month sometimes, or within a week sometimes, especially with the local pack. All of a sudden, you're going to do something, and boom, you know, you show up. So in summary, you know, everything you do, think about delivering value, use common sense, measure what matters, not what you can, be human, understand that your customers are also human, and give back if you can, okay? Any questions? Yeah.
What do you think about outsourcing a blogger outreach posts, paid, you know, blogger outbound, like links, backlinks? Services like Fadjo.co or like Moz and all these different services?
It depends, again, you know. If you find so the outsourcing of finding the places where you can do it, or the outsourcing of the writing of it?
They are outsourcing. They have the writers that they work with that have different blogs, and you pay for your website to be linked from their blog. Let's say they write
Yeah.
about wellness, so they will include me as a massage therapy
Okay.
being like wellness.
Yeah.
So those are called PBNs. And it's considered gray hat SEO by Google. So you may see an uptick in traffic for a while, or you may see it for a long, long time, but then all of a sudden it might fall off if Google realizes that those sites where you're getting written on is in return for money. Okay, so you have to be very careful with that.
But it's, I mean, in terms the way the company that provides this, you know, they work with high-end name websites included with New York Post and different. So what they're saying, they're outsourcing the bloggers. They work directly with the bloggers.
So they're not posting on their own blogs.
They're not posting on their
Oh,
own blog.
because some of them will do it on their own blogs,
Yeah.
and that's what I was talking about.
Right.
If they have the opportunity to write somewhere else, you know, then I would do it.
Because I mean, what they're advertising that it's looked at Google as not a bad thing. But
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I can't prove or deny that. So
Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
That sounds like the right thing to do if you're happy with it. You know, backlinks is still one of the most powerful things for Google. But you know, another trick for backlinks, right? Let's say you want to have a backlink from a site that has, you know, lots of authority in your space, right? What you do is, there's tons of tools out there. You can look it up on Google. Look for a tool that will check for broken links on their site, right? And then when you see broken links, those are links that don't go anywhere because the content has disappeared. When you see broken links that you think have a topic that you would be really good at, write a blog post about it, and then write to the webmaster and say, hey, I noticed you have broken links. I love your site, by the way, but you might be interested in my content to replace it. 60%, 70% of the time, they will take it. Yeah.
Maybe a little bit unfair, but I'm going to ask it anyway, is you have no web presence whatsoever. You're a service provider.
Yeah.
And you talk about budgets.
Yeah.
How much should you budget for initial startup, and then how much should you budget annually for maintenance? I know it could be all over the place. But
Yeah.
You're on a real limited budget, but what should you expect?
It depends. I mean,
Service business.
a service business, so you're going to have, what, 6 pages or something like that, you know, and about us, your services, your customer stories, maybe your homepage, 5, 6 pages. You know, I'd say you'll probably be able to find people that will do it for you for like $1,500, you know?
To start, set up something.
Yeah.
And
Set
then
it up.
annual maintenance.
Annual
And it's
maintenance.
ongoing. I mean, it's monthly, it's whatever.
Annual maintenance is your ongoing SEO,
Yep.
you know, and some companies will charge you $500 to $1,000 a month for that. But what you need to look out for is, and that's how we work, is, and I think everybody should work that way, is if the work that your provider does for you doesn't generate leads for you, then it's worthless. So pay them for 1 or 2 months to set it up, and then convert it to performance-based pay. I'll pay you $10 per lead. Whatever a lead is worth for you. You know what I mean? I mean, for some people, you know, the product is only $10 and the lead is not worth $10. For some people, you know, the product is worth $100,000 and the lead is worth much more than $10. So that's how it would work. And I think that's how everybody should work, because I've seen customers that they used to pay $1,000 a month and got 0 returns. That's just ridiculous. Yeah.
Real quick on backlinks again, does it matter where it's coming from? So like, I'm a wedding and corporate planner. So our backlinks right now consist of like all the magazines we've been published, websites we've been published on, etc. But do we need to have, or should we have backlinks that are not directly affiliated to what we do? Or does it matter that when people click on like X, Y, and Z, planning came up with a beautiful wedding, blah, 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 is that exactly what we're looking for? We're trying to figure out backlinks.
Your backlinks should have an authority. So they should be, you know, there's tools like Moz, M-O-Z, tools like Ahrefs, Majestic. Some of them have free trials and stuff like that, but you can do an analysis of your backlinks, and what they're going to show you is, you have 1,000 backlinks with an authority of more than 40%, and you have 20% that are like less than 20%, which could be toxic, by the way, and you have to disavow them with Google. Okay. Another thing that might happen is you should always check your backlinks, because we had a customer who had a negative backlink attack. I had never heard of it. So all of a sudden the Google, analytics went down the tubes, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? And we looked at their backlinks, and they had like page after page after page of backlinks coming from link farms, some of them in China that are just a page with all links on it, that's it, with authority of less than 1%. And they obviously never bought that. And they all happened within a month and a half, November and December of last year. And so I started looking that up. And so it is called a negative backlink attack. So if you want to show high on the rankings, there's actually two ways, right? You can make sure that you show high on the rankings, or you can sabotage your competitor. And that's what happened,